Since 1992, my business and shows have been based out of Las Vegas. It's my hometown, or my home base. And although in recent years, my contracts and commitments have taken me away from the desert, to the high seas, to Europe, and to Asia, I travel back to Las Vegas whenever I have an opportunity. About a year and a half ago, I was in Vegas, and I was going to see shows, to see new trends and new talent. It was my great pleasure to attend Jen Kramer's one-woman show at the Westgate Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. When I was headlining in Las Vegas, the Westgate was known as the Las Vegas Hilton, or the Big Hilton. And it was so exciting to see the only female magician currently headlining in Las Vegas in a venue where entertainment legends in history were created. Jen Kramer's show was charming, clever, refreshing, fun, magical, impossible, and skilled. The audience connected to her and with her and loved her manipulations of mind, magic, and matter. It's my great pleasure to introduce the magical Jen Kramer.
Hi, Connie. Thank you so much for that kind intro. I really appreciate it.
You deserve it and merit it. Congratulations on your success. That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you. That's so kind of you to say. And it's great to be here chatting with you. So nice to see your face.
What would you say is your most proud moment or your greatest achievement?
That show at Westgate. We're on every Wednesday through Saturday. Of course, because of the coronavirus situation, we're on pause at the moment, but I cannot wait to be back. And doing the show has been something that has really been a long time dream of mine, to have a Las Vegas residency. And I'm just incredibly grateful to have the chance to do that show. And it's something that I'm really just proud of, and it's constantly evolving and constantly changing. And I just really love and appreciate it. We opened the show in May of 2018. So it's about 2 years now.
Yeah, that's in Las Vegas where so many shows close. That's a really, really admirable achievement. You should be really pleased and proud of yourself. Subscribe now and click on the bell to receive weekly notifications of new content. Just for the viewers out there, can you just explain to them the benefit of working consistently? Because you can rehearse until you're blue in the face, but just explain how it's affected your performance and your show with that consistent work.
Absolutely. Oh, it's been so helpful because, like you said, you can prepare and prepare. And I'm somebody, I love to over prepare. I really do. I love thinking through, okay, what are all these possible things that can happen? And how would I handle situation A or B or C? And you can really just prepare in advance. And yet, inevitably, I mean, you can do as much preparation as you possibly can think of. And yet, in live performance, something unexpected will inevitably happen. I'm sure, I mean, I see you nodding along. I'm sure you've experienced all kinds of unexpected things. And I think that is just an element of live performance, is that you can expect the unexpected. Yeah. And I think the more that you perform, the more that you kind of gain experience and also gain confidence in your ability to handle those unexpected situations and your ability to improv and be in the moment. And I think that really gives the audience confidence that they're in good hands.
Right.
Which I think makes them feel relaxed and allows them to enjoy themselves more.
Okay. They're not going to worry for you. Can you give us an example of probably your worst magic disaster, or without giving the magic away, but can you sort of just share with us and how you coped with it?
Sure. So I have a show that involves a lot of audience participation, and that's something that I really enjoy. I really love the audience, and I love being able to involve them in the show. And I think the flip side of that is that it can also introduce some challenges when you might call someone up on stage, and something that I try to do, as I'm sure many other magicians do as well, is observe the audience. So I'll watch the audience before I call someone up on stage, and I'll be looking for, okay, who's really responding well, who's smiling, who's clapping, who's really into it. Mm-hmm. That person, I think in my mind, okay, that person might be somebody ideal to call on because they'll really be interested in being on stage and have fun with it. but inevitably you do enough shows and you end up involving someone in the show who, as much as you may think they'd be a great person, just may not be the ideal person.
Yeah.
So I've had, people on stage who, I can think of a couple of particular scenarios where the person just felt that it was their show and they were going to embark on this monologue and take over the show. And I think in those situations, well, first of all, just logistically, as you know, if you're performing a show in a theater, you have a microphone, and the spectator who you call up on stage does not have a microphone. So I think one thing to remember in those situations, if the person is just going on, or if the person might say something perhaps inappropriate, and I do a family-friendly show, I think the important thing to remember is that beyond the first or second or third row of the audience, people can't hear what the spectator on stage is saying, but they can hear me because I have a microphone, and that person doesn't. So if that person says something wonderful and funny, and we can banter and we can have some improv in the moment, then I can just simply repeat what they said on microphone and the audience laughs, and it's a great situational humor moment that really is special for that audience on that particular night. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, if the person goes down a road that you might not want to be going down, as has happened, you can just kind of ignore the comment and move on, and remember that the audience can hear you, and you can sort of take control of that situation. And like we were saying before, just make the audience feel like they're in good hands.
Good. Yeah, no, that's valuable advice. I noticed that you've performed internationally, and I believe that you actually learned dialogue in different languages that you do not speak. Is that correct?
Yes. So I've really loved languages since I was a kid. It's just been something I've been interested in. So I studied Spanish and French and Swahili, and have performed in all of those languages. Amazing. But thank you. But I also do, like you mentioned, like to learn little phrases in various languages, which has been helpful while traveling internationally, but also even in Las Vegas, you have people coming to the show from all around the world. And it's been really helpful to have just a few key words in my pocket of a few different various languages, so that if somebody comes to the show, no matter where they're from, I can hopefully be able to incorporate just a quick thank you, or just a quick word of instruction to help them understand what to do. And it's been helpful, and I think can also help the audience kind of feel at home and feel like you're making an effort. Right. Hopefully they feel like you really are, wanting to connect with them, and having those, that little bit of preparation of how can I incorporate just a couple of words here. Doesn't mean you have to speak 15, 20 languages fluently. I speak a few, but just making that effort to learn a few extra words has been helpful to me.
Yeah, well, it also goes back to being kind to your audience and sensitive to them, and trying to relate to them so that they can enjoy your performance. And so it's that giving and taking that makes you likable, and get that likability factor, which you cannot buy.
Wow, thank you very much, Connie. That means a lot, especially coming from you. Thank you.
Different cultures, do you adapt your performance to the culture, or does it matter?
So I do think different cultures, there are different norms as far as how live performance, including magic, is received. And so I do think different cultures will respond differently just based on the norms in that particular culture. But that having been said, I also feel like magic itself and the experience of wonder and the connecting with people, I think all of that is universal. Yeah. And the situation I always think of related to this is when I went to India with Magicians Without Borders and with the Yale Magic Society, and we spent time in Mumbai, and then we traveled throughout rural Gujarat in these small villages, and there was a language barrier. Oftentimes, they didn't speak any English, and we didn't speak their language, and yet the magic was able to transcend the barriers, and they really just responded so well, and it was just a perfect example of magic being universal, being able to transcend all of these barriers. And I think that's something that I love so much about magic, is that that incredible experience of wonder and connecting with people, that all of that is something that is, I believe, deeply universal.
Nice. But do you have an example where you did adapt something because of the language barrier? Did you use more mime? How did you overcome that?
Sure. Well, when I was in India, or I think of, I did some shows in Germany a few years ago, and it was for a German audience that was a bit older. So many of them hadn't learned English in school, and so it was made clear before the contract began that the audience, many of them, most of them might not speak English, and so we should be prepared for that. And so in that situation, I performed an act that was to music, because I knew that visual magic was something that could be understood regardless of language. And same thing in India. We were able to do magic that really was highly visual and that didn't require someone to speak a particular language, that enabled them to understand exactly what was going on and even participate in the magic, because it was something that could just be communicated visually.
Now, did you learn from that? For example, did you learn, maybe I don't need to speak so much, I actually physically can get a better response, or not?
Yeah, I think kind of going back to the variety that you mentioned and taking the audience on this journey where there are ups and downs, I think having different elements of your performance, it just makes it more dynamic, makes it more interesting. So I do think those experiences showed me, oh wow, you don't need to be speaking through every routine. You can change it up. You can introduce these different elements and introduce music and have, some routines that are more upbeat and energetic, and others that might be more reflective and thoughtful.
Right. Yeah. So for your pacing of your show or your performance.
Right. Exactly.
What would you say to a magician starting out today?
I would say follow your curiosity, first of all. Follow what really appeals to you and what you're interested in, because then you'll just be motivated to continue learning. And the other thing I would say is, there was a piece of advice that was given to me when I was, probably around 11 years old or so. And I was part of a young magicians group called the Society of Young Magicians, the youth group of the Society of American Magicians. And we used to meet at the time. We ended up meeting at the Phantasma Magic Shop, but at this time we were meeting in the basement of a restaurant called Maui Tacos in New York. And we'd all bring our little close-up mats, and we all, brought our little $50, and we brought sponge balls and a deck of cards, and we'd sit around the table. And it was a wonderful group that I loved being a part of growing up in magic. And I remember one of the kind of adult mentors who was part of the SAM group said to a group of us young magicians, said, you don't have to learn 100, 1,000 different things. He's like, just learn a few things and really master them, really learn those things well. Yeah. And while I do believe it's important to have a broad foundation of knowledge and to be aware of different things in magic and to learn broadly, I think ultimately having a few tricks, even if it's 2 or 3 or 4 or just 5, rather than kind of half learning 100 or 200 or 1,000 different things, right. I think it's more important to really give that care and give that energy to a few things that you care about. So that's something I would say to a young magician, because it was helpful to me. I think one of the things I love about magic is the magic community, that real sense of community in magic. And I think if you can find a group, whether it's the Society of Young Magicians, whether it's the International Brotherhood of Magicians, and find your local ring, your local chapter or assembly, I think it just is a great opportunity to connect with other magicians and give each other feedback and provide that sense of community, which I think is just such a wonderful thing about being involved in the world of magic.
Now, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Come on, you can do it. We need subscribers to obtain more privileges with YouTube. So please, please hit that notifications bell. Spread the word and comment. We love to hear from you.